Hello guys, welcome back to another APST video. We're back with another video. Yesterday we did our TPS League season predictions and I even said who I think will win the entire season for TPS. And today we will be doing the same thing but for touch football. Okay. Before starting, we have a sponsor, Engineer Punker. So please subscribe to them, and yeah. So for touch football, we have 15 teams. I will explain the league format in a second. Right now, let me just show you the teams. By the way, here Pakistan FC, they're not Pakistan FC anymore. 3 days ago, they rebranded to Barca FC. So now they're Barca FC. So I'll give you a minute to look at the teams. Okay, so I hope you've seen the teams. So now let me explain the format. There are 15 teams. Top 6 automatically go to the playoffs. 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th play in a play-in tournament, and top 2 of them will go into the playoffs, and the 2 teams that lose will not go to the playoffs. And 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th are out, no play-in or playoffs. And then in the play-in tournament, the top 2 of the 4 that qualify will go to the playoffs to be the 7th and 8th team, and the 2 teams that lose in the playoffs will count as the 9th and 10th, and they will not go to the playoffs as it's kind of top 8. Okay, let's start with our predictions. So in the regular season, I have Trip. I think they have great players like Tripsy. They have a great owner. Tripsy's a great owner that could help them with lots of things during the season or not. And they have other great players like Cleos, AER, Natty, Henry. They have a new prospect that they drafted, Magic. They drafted him. He didn't play in the game versus San Jose, their first game, but the Trip got on to a great start, 22-4 win versus San Jose. To be fair, San Jose are the worst team in APST, but still, that was a great performance by Trip, and I feel like they'll be putting this the whole season. But a problem for them is a goalkeeper. Cleos had to play goalkeeper for them in the game versus San Jose, but they really need a goalkeeper. They don't have a goalkeeper. That's why Cleos had to play goalkeeper. If they get a goalkeeper, they will win the APST season playoffs for sure. And I'm really excited to see Trip. Everyone is. And Trip is really good, and they will be first in my predictions. And just one thing that could affect them, their only left winger, Ezekiel, got traded about a week ago to the Denmarkians, but that might affect them on the left side. But other than that, I don't think it really affects the Trip team. They're really good and lots of great players. So another thing that could affect them is their time zone. They don't really like games earlier than 9 p.m. Eastern time, because maybe they can't make the game if it's before. So maybe they have to play one man down a little bit of games, but I don't think that will take Trip away from being in first. Okay, now to second. In second, I have Visca. They have a good owner, Stan, that isn't really active anymore, but he's also a great player that could help them when he comes to games. They have great players like wrong team. They have great players like Sully Nugget, Captain Barcelona, Isagi, who is their assistant captain. They have their goalkeeper Mex, who is Lito Mexicano, which is the captain of Visca, because Stan doesn't come. But Visca are lucky to have a goalkeeper. Mex just needs to try to do better in games. He was great in the semifinals of the Copa America. Best career game for him. Got man of the match too. He needs to do this every game for Visca in order for them to be able to go up versus Trip. And Trip versus Visca, that's the first game in the league season. We'll be seeing that in the round one. Visca versus Trip. Visca is home, but that will be a stunner to see to begin the season. And I feel like everyone is excited to see that. Okay, and third, I got a surprise. A surprise. Prime time. Okay, prime time, they were really good in the beginning of 2023. Their clan was made 1 week after the Brazilians clan were made in December. And these two teams grew side by side forever. Brazilians and Primetime going up in the same level. In the beginning, Brazilians were a bit better, and then it was tying up, and then Primetime passed a little, then it got back tied. Brazilians passed a lot, and now Primetime are coming back as now they're increasing in touch football, and Brazilians are slowly decreasing. But Primetime, they've got great players. They have a good owner, Davy. 1 month ago, Primetime were having bad chemistry. Their best player, C's, wanted a trade, and most of their players too. But now he's staying. Before he said he was loyal to Primetime, but now he's starting to get more loyal again. As their owner, Davy, has stopped finding team confusions and is being nice to each other. Now on Primetime, good chemistry. Now they got great players like their owner himself, Davy, C's, Grandpa, Magma. A problem for them, they've been trading a bit of their good players. They traded Mac Attack and Stan, but yeah, I don't think it might affect them that much. But a thing good for Primetime is they always show to games, so like especially Season Davy. Every game they show, I don't remember one game that Caesar Davy did not show. They're an insane duo, whether they like it or not. And even sometimes when these two kids get into confusions, I think they will be together on Primetime for a long time. And they could build history together for Primetime. And yeah, I think the duo of Davy and C's will maybe last until they retire on Primetime. Maybe they'll get traded to the Denmarkians on the way or Brazilians, because other than Primetime, those are the two teams that these two players would rather be on. But for now, Primetime gonna do good, whether you think that, whether you like it or not. In my predictions, Primetime are third, and also they joined for TPS, and they've not had a bad start in the Touch Football Open Cup group stage. They haven't played. They didn't play in round one as it's 5 teams a group, so one team doesn't play in a round. Primetime didn't play round one, but in round two they play. They play their first game in the Touch Open Cup group stage on Saturday versus San Jose, and Primetime should win that easily. Yeah. Also, they beat Portuguese 3-0 in the TPS. Okay, I'm not going to talk about TPS. Okay, now let's move on to fourth. This is where I have the Brazilians. Okay, so Brazilians, they have a great player. Probably the best player on this team, no doubt, Arthur. They have which is Arthur is their left winger, and now on the right side they have a Phantom that got traded to the Brazilians a few months ago from the Denmarkians. Their center back, their goalkeeper is Dodge. Their center back was going to be Vuzakin, but he's not getting active anymore. A problem for the Brazilians is Zol leaving. That is a huge bad effect on them. Zol was their best goalkeeper, and then they could have pushed him to defense. Zol requested defense. It's good because then Dodge goes goalkeeper, Zol goes to defense, Arthur left wing, Phantom right wing. But Brazilians are kind of slowly decreasing. Arthur is starting to find a way to get them increased. He's going to start scouting players, going for trades and transfers to trade like a TPS player for a great touch player. And yeah, Arthur's trying to do the job. He just began, but during the season, Brazilians might struggle a bit, but soon they'll get better. In the regular season, it's a long-term league. Brazilians aren't in an active team. So, maybe some games they'll have to play their weaker players other than Arthur, because he's the league owner. But other than Arthur, they might have to play their weaker their weaker players on the pitch, and then Arthur will have to be pushed to midfield to organize this team. Maybe he could push the Brazilians to beating this other team, but this is my concern, and that's why they're fourth. Okay, and fifth are the Denmarkians. A great all-around team. They have Den, Doofus, Wilfilsil, and Ezekiel, who got traded to Denmarkians from Trip about a week ago. Now, a month ago for Denmarkians, I would say they were in play and they're not going to the playoffs. So Denmarkians, they used to be really good. They decreased badly and they weren't inactive anymore when they became a team in APST. And now they're getting slowly active. They got Ezekiel. They're doing good moves right now. And they won their first game easily versus Dallas Cosmos in the Open Cup, and I think they're going to have a great season. Maybe Doofus won't show a little bit because of his time zone, but other than that, I'm not worried. Maybe they'll have to play a few games one man down, but in the playoffs, I think they could do really good and do a really far run. But, we'll see what happens, but for TPS already said what moves they need to make. For touch, I think they're good. Maybe just a few more players and they would be good that are active. And Denmarkians, I got good eyes on them for the season. Okay, now on 6, a surprise that people won't expect because of their new team in the league, Barca FC. I have Barca FC in 5th. They have a great right winger, Neymar. A great left winger, Green. They have Sui, Glitched, and Ronaldo, 5 great players. So they just need a true goalkeeper. In their first game versus Manchester Devils, they had to play Sui goalkeeper. They barely won 13-10 win, but they did play really good as Neymar, the right winger, led the team to beating them. And I'm not worried about Barca FC. They have great chemistry. No doubt the best chemistry in the league. They know how to work together. They know how to position. A really organized squad. I'm surprised that they didn't win more than 3 goals versus Manchester Devils, but it's okay. A win is a win. And Barca FC, I think you guys are going to have a great season. Maybe in the playoffs, Barca won't go far. It depends. We will see when we get to that. But in the regular season, Barca are going to do really well and get the 6th spot. Okay, those are the 6 teams that will auto go to the playoffs in my predictions. So now playing teams. In seventh, in seventh, I have Pro Dodge. So I have Pro Dodge in seventh. They have a great owner, Dodge. They have a great owner, Dodge. They have, let me explain about Pro Dodge history. They were a GOAT clan like in October, November of 2022. They were really good, one of the best clans of touch football. But all their players left, Messi, Courtois, and then Dodge got given the owner after partnering up Pro Beast to Pro Dodge, and then their name got turned in. They rebranded to Pro Dodge, and most of their players left. They only had Dodge and her Terminator for about 2 months in March and April, but now they're rebuilding. Their owner Dodge has been doing good moves, and Pro Dodge they won their first game easily versus the Chicago Bruins FC in the Open Cup. And I think this team won't be at their best of the season, as they're still rebuilding. Atsuya and Catch 2 TPS players, so they're practicing. But I feel like Dodge will have to do a few moves and get some touch players so they could actually compete this season. Or he could go for draft picks, or keep his players practicing so then next season they have a title contending team for touch football. Right now, Pro Dodge are a team that should battle for going to the playoffs in touch. But if this was like November of 2022, easily first place for Pro Dodge on top of Trip. If the Brazilians also had their team from December, or not December, January, they could have been first with Pro Dodge, somewhere around there too. But Pro Dodge, they're rebuilding, and slowly they're getting better. I did doubt them for a few months before. Pro Dodge, one of the most underrated teams in APST, and I got them as 7th. Okay. In 8th, I have German. I think they have a good player, Cam. My only worry for them is they can't have Cam carrying the entire team. And that's going to be a problem if that's their plan. They have Duolingo, who started. They have Ronaldo, who's not that good. He did really well in the game versus Visca, but that was a surprise. He's not that good and doesn't show that often. We have Himi, who needs to get a bit more active. I feel in some games, German might have to play one man down. Cam isn't acting like an owner for sure. Not doing anything from as ownership, just waiting for a game and playing it. He needs to finally do some APST moves and get some better players if he wants to compete. But I'm putting German, and they're sitting in 8th for me. Okay, in 9th, I have the Chicago Bruins FC. Okay, some people would say that I'm putting the Bruins too high, but I think I'm not. Maybe if this was a knockout, yeah, they would be bottom 5. But it's a long-term league. They're active. They have a great goalkeeper, MH. They have Dinamo, who's pretty good. Tyler is practicing. Lucas is practicing. Jackie is practicing. Alex is practicing. Alex might not show for a number of games, which is their only problem. But Bruins are a rising team. This season, they won't compete. Their goal is to just make it to the playoffs, so that's their goals. I know each team's goals because their owners talk about it. If you want to, I can make a video talking about each team's goals, but okay. You know what, let me just sit right now. Trip, their goal is to win the season. Visca, their goal is to win the season. Visca's goal is to win the season. Primetime, their goal is to make it to the second round of the playoffs of Brazilians. So their goal is to win it. Then, okay, I'm not going to say that. Okay, so Bruins, their goal is to make it into the playoffs. Maybe they could do it, but they're sitting in ninth, playing tournament spot. But if they practice a lot by the end of the season, they'll do really good. They're passing in touch from TPS, but yeah, I think the Bruins are a rising team, and by the end of the season, they could be winning lots of games, whether you like it or whether you think it or not. And I got Bruins in ninth. Okay, going to 10th. This team really frustrates me, and this is the exact thing that I said when I was putting them in the TPS video. And you probably know who I'm saying. A really good team that could be up in this top 5, but they're not using themselves correctly. Portuguese. Now, their owner Ben, they could easily get a good a good touch team. They have great TPS players. In touch, he has nothing, and I do not believe this owner. He keeps saying all his guys are just making excuses, but he doesn't even have any touch football players. He just expects his TPS players to play touch for him, even though they don't know how to position or play the game. And their TPS players aren't even active. I explained everything last video. And this owner, Ben, he needs to go in, scout some players for touch, and get them. Ben expects that Portuguese could win everything. Ben said that Portuguese would reach the final for touch and beat Brazilians in TPS. I personally think both of these facts are so cap and impossible. He's being kind of cocky. He thinks that they could win, but he's not doing anything for it, and he doesn't even realize he doesn't have anyone except himself to play for them in touch. He really needs to do moves and get some touch people, because whatever he wants to do, whatever he's trying to do, it's certainly not working at all, no matter what he's trying to do. And Portuguese, for now, they're in 10th, the last spot in the play, and barely making it. And Ben, his goal is to make the final with Portuguese for touch. I don't know how he's going to do this if he doesn't have any players. Maybe I'll put them more up in my predictions in November, my final ones, if Ben does something about this and gets a squad. But I don't see Portuguese getting top 5 anytime soon. Okay, going to 11, the teams that won't be in the playoffs. In 11th, I have Prime Madrid, a TPS team that also decided to join for touch football. They just started playing touch football. Chris is starting, Hernadil is starting, Levy is starting. Maybe in season 2 they could actually be good, but right now I don't feel like they're good enough. But soon they could get the talent. They're starting to get better. I could realize their improvement for both games. Something good for them is they have great chemistry. They have a goalkeeper for the game, Bacon, on the 4v4 game, actually. And that will be good for them as they have a goalkeeper. They just need to practice together as a team. And it's good because they have great chemistry. And by season 2, they could be in the top playing teams or maybe in the playoffs if they use their decisions correctly. And I know they're not planning to do any trades or scouts because they have great chemistry, and no one in the team is thinking of leaving right now. And I think that what they're doing is the correct thing, but they need to practice a lot in touch football. And TPS too. But Prime Madrid, they're a rising team for touch football. Okay, in 12th, another team that I'm frustrated of that aren't doing anything. And you might already know who I'm talking about. The team that I put in second last in TPS, Edmonton Red Stars FC. So they have a good goalkeeper, a decent goalkeeper, Frost. They have a decent attacker, Killian. But who else do they have? Nobody. As of the way it stands, these kids are going to be playing 2v4s in games. Now, imagine playing like Trip Visca or Brazilians or Primetime. When in a 2v4 game. Like, do you know how destroyed you are going to get? And their owner isn't really doing anything about it, which they should. But they're not. They're just waiting for the game and playing. I explained it on the last video in TPS. They need a scout. They need trades. They need transfers. Their owner isn't doing anything. And he's predicting his team to go into the playoffs easily when he doesn't even have enough players to play a 4v4 game. And all of his other players, Casemiro, he doesn't even want to play. His other players are not active. All he did was signed a few players a month ago, 2 players, and they drafted one. They have 4 players, and only one could show up every game, which is Frost. Killian didn't show for his first TPS game. For his first touch game, he didn't show either. So what is Frost gonna do? Let his team forfeit, or will he do something? This is the problem. Red Stars, they need moves. I'm just saying they could be in the play-in or in the playoffs right now if they actually do something. And maybe if they actually do something, in my predictions and in my final predictions in November, these are just my early predictions. In my final ones, maybe they could do what I'm saying they can do and what their potential is. But right now, no sir. Okay, in 13th, I have Manchester Devils. They have a great player, Moonlight. He's starting to get more active. Manchester Devils are starting to get a bit better. Cole is starting to practice. They're starting to sign a few players. Manchester Devils are starting to rise. Like a month ago, before this, I would put them in 15th, dead last, but they're starting to rise, and that's why I'm putting them in 13th. They're starting to get better, and they're doing it in the correct way. And they just need more players so that will be active. That's what I recommend from them. They almost beat Barca FC in their first game. They lost in a tight game, 13-10. But Manchester Devils, they're currently in good process. If the Red Stars stay in the way they're being, Manchester Devils could easily be 12th and Red Stars for 13th. But for now, I got Manchester Devils in 13th. Maybe in my final predictions, I could see them a little bit better or a little bit worse. But I feel like a little bit better is being the path for the Manchester Devils. And that's why I'm putting them up to 13th. In 14th, this team really worries me. Dallas Cosmos FC. Okay. They have Stars, so their owner. They have only one good touch player, which is Henry Jr., and he lives in Europe, and he hasn't been able to show to the Dallas Cosmos first games of this Open Cup. TPS Paolo Maldini, he plays TPS, he doesn't even know touch, he's starting to practice. He also can come because he also lives in Europe. So what happened in their first game versus the Denmarkians? Let me remember. Only Stars showed up and that equals a forfeit, so the Denmarkians auto won 20-0. Exactly. Stars, so their owner, he's complaining that I'm giving them a forfeit when he isn't even doing anything about it. Like, go scout players, do transfers, do trades. Like, come on, Stars. Like, it's like he doesn't even care. I explained all of this. Like, I haven't seen anything like this. Like, I can't imagine it, but it's happening with Stars. Like, he's just waiting for the next game and playing. It's like he's in a really good team and he doesn't even need to do anything for them when he's the owner of a team that's doing really poorly right now. But if he does something, they could actually be good. Wow! Is it that hard? No. Okay, and last, I have the San Jose Stingers. I'm pretty sure they were the last team to join. Their owner NL, he didn't show for their first game, but he might show to their second. Sport. San Jose is going medium action. They're starting to rise up. Soon they could be in front of the Dallas Cosmos in my predictions, but they have a prospect that they drafted. Sport. They have NL. He just needs to be a bit more active in the league group, and they just need a few good players, and they'll have enough players. But San Jose, I'm worried about them, but I'm not if they do tiny moves, which I think NL could do. He could scout some players and that are active, and that will just work for them. Their goal this season isn't to go to the playoffs, so they just don't want to come in the few last teams, and I understand that from the Stingers, and I don't see them going in any wrong path currently. The teams that I most see going in the wrong path, the three most teams that I see going in the wrong path currently is Portuguese, Red Stars, and Dallas Cosmos. Okay. And these are the regular season predictions. And now let's do the play-in tournament. So, Prododge versus German. Prododge was 7th and German 8th. And Bruins were 9th and Portuguese 10th. Okay, now let me explain how the play works. So we have the 7th versus 8th team, Prododge versus German. The winner goes to the playoffs in 7th place, and the loser goes to the final round of the play-in. Okay, now the 9th versus 10th, Chicago Bruins versus Portuguese. The winner goes to the final round of the play-in to versus the loser of Prododge versus German, and the loser of Chicago Bruins versus Portuguese is you go home, goodbye, your season's over. And then the final round of the team that wins. So, for example, if Prododge beats the German, they will be in the playoffs going in 7th. And if Bruins beat Portuguese are going home. And the final round of the playoffs is the play-in is Chicago Bruins versus German, and the winner of that will go to the playoffs along with Prododge. And yeah, so now let's do my predictions. It's just a single game. I'm just gonna say who I think will win it's touch football. It's a high scoring game, not like TPS where it's like real game scores, but yeah, touch football is different. Okay, now let's do my game prediction. So let's start with the 7th versus 8th team, Prododge versus German. I got German winning really slightly. So yeah, I have German winning. So Prododge will go to the final round, and German will go on in 7th. So final round. Prododge versus blank right now. And now in Chicago Bruins versus Portuguese, I think I got Portuguese slightly winning this, and I got Portuguese going to the final round to versus Prododge, a big matchup, Prododge and Portuguese, and the season of the Bruins will be over. Okay, in the final round of the play-in, this is really, really tight if Portuguese get their players in the game or auto forfeit already and Prododge win. But I feel like this game could be a tie, which means there'll be an extra game. If it's tied, it goes to the sudden death and then the touch football penalty shootout game mode. And I feel like it could go all the way to shootout. But I feel like in the play-in or playoffs, I feel like the Portuguese players will show as they will care a little bit more. But I got Portuguese winning really slightly. I think the game will be tight, and in extra time, Portuguese will win, and they will move on to the playoffs. So the two teams from Plain moving on will be German and Portuguese, and the two teams not is Pro Dodge and Bruins. Okay, now let's put the playoffs. Best of 7 series for playoffs, quarterfinals. So let's put here the games in for the playoffs. And also, I just feel like Pro Dodge will lose because, like, they don't really have much experience. Like, only Dodge has that experience. Maybe it could lead Pro Dodge to winning, but I just feel like they won't. And German, I think their players will show in the game versus Pro Dodge and they'll be good. Chicago Bruins versus Portuguese, I think it'll be really tight, but in the last leg, Portuguese could get like a 2-goal lead and win the game. And I feel like the Bruins would rage so hard. Okay. And last game. Okay, now playoffs round quarterfinals games. So the series are Primetime versus Barca FC, Brazilians versus Denmarkians, Visca versus German, and Trip versus Portuguese. So let's start with Primetime versus Barca FC. I think this could be a stunning series, a really tight series. Primetime and Barca, two great teams playing off each other. That would be a really interesting series that I would want to watch badly. Primetime, the duo of Cees and Davi, could it beat Barca FC with a attacking duo of Green and Neymar? Well, it is really tight. I think Primetime I have to play one man down that game, as maybe Magma won't come because he's in other leagues too, and that's his priority, not this league. But he plays league games here if he has time to. He usually does, but I feel like one game will be just given away to Barca because of one man down. I feel like Barca would win it because of this. Okay, now let me say the real predictions. I think this will be a really, really tight series. I don't know if the Barca defense could stop Cees playing up for Primetime. Cees and Magma, an insane duo. Maybe Cees on the left side and Magma on the. Never mind. I think it should be better. Magma on the left side, Cees on the right side. That would be a great attacking duo versus the defending. I don't know because Barca really have most offense, but I think this will be a really tight series, and I think it will go to 7th. But I do got Primetime in 7. Okay, now the tightest series of all of them: Brazilians and Denmarkians. I feel like Brazilians would be nervous. Denmarkians would be more. They would have like more team play. If Brazilians, a Phantom show, a Dodge shows, and then their extra player like Vuzakin or Adam, like Adam and Vuzakin, a huge bad rule for them of not coming. I feel like this series could easily go to 7. It will be really, really tight series. I think that's what everyone thinks. Brazilians will be the slight favorites for sure, but this could go either way. And Denmarkians, great players, so they'll be organized coming from the left and the right side with some great attacking and defending players. I feel like they got a great roster. They just need a true goalkeeper, which I think Den will be goalkeeper or Doofus. I don't really know, but this will be a really tight way. I don't know if Denmark's defense could stop the insane duo of Arthur and Phantom on the attack, and I don't know if Dodge and Vuzakin or Adam could stop the insane duo of Ezekiel and Den or Doofus or Wolfel still playing up. I don't really know who's attacking up for them because all I know is Ezekiel's a left winger for them. Den kind of plays offensive midfielder, but they need a goalkeeper. They might need to use him, so that's a problem for Denmarkians. But I think the coach on Brazilians could do a huge job on this game. He could change the game. Arthur, the best coach in APST. Brazilians are the best coaching, and it could be a really big difference for them. And I think Arthur could scout great players that are really active too, and that could help them along the season, which could give them a higher ranking, and in the playoffs help them go deep far too. But I think this series is really tight, and it could go either way. And I think it is going to 7. And in 7, I think the Denmarkians will win. I feel like the Brazilians could get a little too nervous. Denmarkians could stay calm. Brazilians get a bit nervous when it's a really tight game and a really game that decides the season or something. Brazilian is capable of reaching deep. But I think they'll do better in season 2 for touch than in this season. And I got the Denmarkians going on to the semifinals. Okay, now next game series we have Wiska versus German. And talking about Wiska versus German, this was the first game in the Open Cup group stage. What was the score? Let me just check this because I don't remember, but I know Wiska won. It was 7-2 to Wiska. It was tight. Captain Barcelona led the way for Wiska, and surprisingly, Ronaldo led the way for German. And Ronaldo not that good, but he played a really good game. Maybe the best game for him so far, counting the friendly matches that we've had earlier in this year. And this could be a tight series, and maybe it couldn't, but I feel like Wiska need a better keeper and Mex needs practice. German need to get more organized because Cam keeps camping. Sometimes their goalkeeper keeps leaving the net and they have no goalkeeper. And I think German could be an absolute mess, while it could also mess up Wiska's game plan if they all mark the same person. But if Wiska get passed to the next man, they could easily score goals on German, which could complicate it. And I got a 4-1 series win for Wiska. Okay, final series of the quarterfinals, Trip versus Portuguese. Trip, they have great action. They just need a keeper. I feel like Portuguese will have to forfeit one of these games for not showing up, which I explained, and they need to correct this if they want to beat Trip. But I feel like Portuguese have no chance for Trip no matter what. As of the way it is, I got a 4-0 sweep for Trip. And that is it for my quarterfinals predictions. Portuguese, they need better action. I'm not explaining everything again, but their coach needs to do a better job. Okay, now semifinals. The matches are. Okay, Wiska in prime time. A really tight series as we're down to the semifinals. Now, I think this could be really tight. It could go to 7. This series could go either way. I think Wiska are the slight favorites. In fact, they are. They would be the favorites. I'm 100% sure. But primetime, you guys shouldn't underestimate them. Great action, a big duo by season. Davy is good at saving and then quickly kicking up to start the play, which could lead to goals for primetime. This series could for sure go either way. I feel like Mex will have to put up a big game to save all of C's curves, knuckle shots, which he has lots of. A big attacking duo for primetime could easily end mercy for Visca. But I feel like Magma will at least not show the 2 games. And these 2 games, I feel like Visca will probably win. Maybe they won't, but maybe they will. Just don't underestimate primetime. They're really good. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. Well, this is really tight. Visca, Captain Barcelona and Silly Nugget could lead them in the attacking end. And talking about Mex being in net, they have a great defender to cover up. That could save the block of the shots before it gets to Mex. Izaji could lead Visca on the defensive end, and Mex will have to do a good job with passing because his passing really isn't good to start off the play, and that could easily make Visca lose. I feel like this series is really, really tight, and I feel like it will go to 7. And if it goes to 7, this game could even tie. It is really, really a close series, but you know who I got winning. Okay. And who I got winning in 7, well, it could go all the way. In fact, yeah, I think it will go to penalty shootout. Maybe. If it goes before, maybe in sudden death, C's could find the winner for primetime. Maybe Captain Barcelona or Silly Nugget could find the way. And this is the only chance. I feel like if Visca don't win this season, I feel like their team could break apart. Mex could be leaving to the new Nugget team that someone named Nugget. I don't know which team. I don't think it's the one on Visca, but some random guy. I don't know. I don't remember which team, but they could make the Nugget team for next season, and then Silly Nugget will join. And maybe Captain Barca might join. Maybe he'll stay. He has a great loyalty at Visca, but I feel like Visca will try really bad. Primetime, they will play with their hearts and they'll do really good too. But I feel like I slightly got the upset. I got primetime winning 4-3. I got the upset here. Primetime winning the series 4-3. Now, a big series. Trip versus Denmarkians. Trip would be the giant favorites for this game. And maybe they are. No matter. People would think that Trip would win 4-1 this series. Maybe, but you can't underestimate Denmarkians. Even if Trip sweep them or something, every single game will be tight. Maybe Trip could win every game by 2 games, but do not underestimate them. That is all I tell you. Trust me. Denmarkians, Ezekiel, you know the story of former players scoring on their former teams, right? Ezekiel could kill the series doing that. Denmarkians actually have not a real goalkeeper, but their players like Den Doofus Wolfel. So every player on them except Ezekiel knows how to keep really well, and that could seal the deal. Cleo's he's better way playing up. He's a strike. He's an attacking midfielder, but yeah. Trip, they really need a goalkeeper, and even though this is really unexpected, and I'm telling you this, I think that this series will go down to 7. And in 7, I think this could go really tight. This could go tight, and someone could win in extra time. But I got another upset, and I got the Denmarkians winning the series 4-3 over Trip. A huge upset, a huge one. But trust me, you do not want to underestimate Denmarkians because they will win it in your face and shush you. And in the finals, we got Primetime versus Denmarkians. Okay, first, third place match. Third place match is just one single game. And, yeah, I got Trip beating Viska on that. Okay, now let's go finals. Primetime versus Denmarkians. A great matchup. A really unexpected finals from people, but trust me, you do not want to underestimate any player on Primetime or Denmarkians. Now, I feel like both teams have a complete squad that is perfect. Grandpa just needs to be a bit more active in the playoffs for Primetime, and yeah. And Magma needs to show a lot, or Primetime could be playing one man down the whole entire series, which could affect them really badly. And yeah. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so in the Denmarkians end, they have great attacking Ezekiel. Den could play keep. They have Doofus that could play on the right side, and Wolfel Silk could be their midfielder. I think Denmarkians out of these two teams have a more complete squad. If Season Davi went there, I feel like their duo would be done as a duo thing. It could be a trio with Den and Wolfel Silk, who are the same level as them, if not better. A great duo of Den and Wolfel Silk. I think this series could go really tight. And I think the winner will come out in 6. Okay. And in my predictions, the winner of the Touch Football Season 1 of APST League will be Denmarkians beating Primetime in 6. And I think Denmarkians will win the series 4-2. And I got the Denmarkians winning the series, winning the APST Season 1. Champions, Denmarkians. And they will be your Season 1 APST champions in my predictions. Anyways, peace, guys. See you in another video. Also, remember to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. See ya. Peace. Have a good time.